How did Christianity journey from the Caribbean to the South Pacific? Did you know that a journey spanning 2 oceans, thousands of miles, connected the Caribbean to the South Pacific in a mission of faith? That's right. Christianity didn't just stop at one set of islands. It crossed borders, broke barriers, and found its way into the hearts of people across the Pacific. But how did missionaries from the Caribbean, of all places, spread Christianity to faraway lands like Samoa and Fiji? Let's dive into this incredible journey of faith, culture, and resilience. It all starts in the Caribbean, a region where Christianity had already taken root thanks to European colonization. By the 19th century, churches were everywhere: Jamaica, Barbados, Haiti, you name it. Christianity wasn't just a religion imposed by colonizers, though. It became woven into the social and cultural fabric of the Caribbean. For many Caribbean communities, the church wasn't just a place to worship. It was a space for education, political activism, and social change. And here's where things get really interesting. You see, many Caribbean Christians, freed slaves or descendants of slaves, felt a calling. They wanted to take the faith that had shaped their lives and share it with others, especially those in distant lands who hadn't yet heard about Jesus. What better way to spread the word than to the farthest reaches of the globe? The South Pacific Islands seemed like the perfect destination. And so, these Caribbean missionaries embarked on a mission to spread Christianity across the vast Pacific Ocean. Now, why the Pacific, you ask? Well, by the mid-19th century, explorers and colonizers from Europe had already started making their mark in the South Pacific. Some islands, like Tahiti, had already encountered Christianity through British and French missionaries, but many other places, like Samoa and Fiji, were still deeply tied to their traditional spiritual beliefs. To Caribbean missionaries, the Pacific represented both a challenge and an opportunity. They saw themselves as carrying on the legacy of Christian expansion, but with their own unique perspective. These missionaries knew what it felt like to be colonized and oppressed, and they believed that their shared experiences would help them connect with the Pacific Islanders in ways that European missionaries couldn't. Armed with faith, passion, and a whole lot of determination, they set sail. Imagine this: sailing across 2 oceans with nothing but your faith, some supplies, and a desire to spread the gospel. That's what these Caribbean missionaries did. They crossed the Atlantic and the Pacific, navigating treacherous waters and enduring months at sea. It wasn't exactly smooth sailing, but their resilience was inspiring. They knew their mission was bigger than the challenges they faced. When these missionaries finally reached places like Samoa and Fiji, they found vibrant, complex cultures that had their own long-standing spiritual practices. Pacific Islanders, especially in Samoa, had a deeply rooted belief system tied to nature, ancestors, and the land. The missionaries knew they couldn't just come in and force a new religion on these communities. They had to adapt, build relationships, and most importantly, listen. In Samoa, the Caribbean missionaries took a pretty smart approach. Rather than bulldozing over local traditions, they emphasized the similarities between Samoan values and Christian teachings. Family, community, respect for life. These were all core principles in Samoan culture, and the missionaries used that as their entry point. But here's the genius of their method. They didn't just preach. They built churches that incorporated local traditions and customs. They trained Samoan leaders to become ministers, which allowed Christianity to grow organically within the community, rather than being seen as a foreign imposition. The result? Christianity flourished in Samoa, becoming integrated with the local way of life. But not everywhere was as receptive. In Fiji, the situation was a little trickier. The Caribbean missionaries arrived in the mid-19th centuries to find a society deeply entrenched in its warrior culture. Cannibalism, warfare, and a strict social hierarchy were all part of Fijian life. This was no walk in the park for the missionaries, but just like in Samoa, they didn't give up. The turning point in Fiji came when several high-ranking chiefs converted to Christianity. And in Fijian culture, when the chiefs spoke, the people listened. Slowly but surely, Christianity started to spread, but not without challenges. Some communities resisted change, while others embraced the faith as a new way forward. Christianity brought new concepts of peace and forgiveness, which were revolutionary in a society built on revenge and warfare. One of the coolest things about this whole story is the cultural exchange that took place. While the Caribbean missionaries were spreading Christianity, they were also learning from the Pacific Islanders. They gained a deeper appreciation for the diverse spiritual practices and traditions of the Pacific. Meanwhile, the islanders found ways to blend their traditional beliefs with their new Christian faith. In Samoa and Fiji, churches became cultural hubs where people could worship, but also preserve their identity. The fusion of local customs with Christian teachings created unique forms of worship that are still practiced today. It wasn't just about spreading religion. It was about building bridges between different cultures and finding common ground. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. The missionaries faced plenty of resistance along the way. Some Pacific Islanders saw them as agents of colonialism, while others were hesitant to abandon their traditional spiritual practices. There were cultural clashes, misunderstandings, and moments of tension. But through it all, the Caribbean missionaries remained patient and committed. They believed that Christianity could offer something valuable to the people of the Pacific, and they were willing to navigate the complexities of cultural exchange to make that happen. And in many cases, they succeeded. By building trust, showing respect, and adapting to local customs, they were able to plant the seeds of Christianity in communities that had never heard of it before. If you loved hearing about this amazing chapter in history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Let's keep exploring these untold stories that connect us across the globe. Until next time, peace, love, and stay curious, my friends.